For this video, we are going to discuss ellipse. So ano nga ba ang ellipse? It is a closed plane curve generated by a point moving in such a way that the sums of its distances from two fixed points is a constant. So dito makikita natin ang figure ng ating ellipse. So what are the parts of the ellipse? Unahin natin ang center. The center is at the midpoint of major and minor axis. So ito yung center natin. Then, we have major axis. Tandaan natin na ang ellipse ay may dalawang diameters. The longest or the major axis and the shortest or the minor axis na i-discuss natin mamaya. So ito yung major axis natin, horizontal. So in this figure, horizontal ang ating major axis. So ang length or whole distance from the two vertices of our major axis is 2a. Then from the center going to one of the vertices, that is A. Next, the minor axis is the shortest diameter of our ellipse. So our minor axis here is vertical. The distance from two co-vertices of our minor axis is 2b. Then from the center going to one of the co-vertices, that is B. The next part, we have the vertices. These are the endpoints of our major axis. So dito sa figure na to, ito yung co-vertices natin. So this is A, 0. This is negative A, 0. So tandaan natin na hindi ganito lagi ang itsura ng ating ellipse. So pwedeng ang major axis natin ay vertical. In that case, magkakabaliktad yung ating abscissa at yung ating ordinates. That will be A or that will be 0A and 0, negative A. Now, our co-vertices. Ito naman yung mga endpoints ng ating minor axis. So, in this figure, we have 0B and 0, negative B. So, kung ang ating minor axis naman ay horizontal, that will be B0 and negative B0. The next part is the foci. Ang foci, these are points whose sum of distances from any point in ellipse is constant. So here's our foci. So these two focus we have here. The coordinate is C, 0, and negative C, 0. The distance from center going to one of the foci is C. So how are we going to find the value of C? We're going to use the formula C squared equals A squared minus B squared. So let's have the standard equations of our ellipse. So there are two cases in working ellipse to our Cartesian plane. The first one is if the center of the ellipse is found at the origin, and the second one if the center is not at the origin. Now, if the center is at the origin, we will have this equation that is x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1 if the major axis is horizontal. If the major axis is vertical, this will be our standard equation. X squared over b squared plus y squared over a squared equals 1. So as you notice, kung nasaan ang ating major axis, nandoon ang ating variable na a. So in our figure, the major axis is horizontal. That's why yung a nasa ilalim ng x. Okay, take note that a and b are interchangeable. Pwede silang magkapalit, but always remember that a is always greater than b. Now, what are the standard equations kung ang center ng ellipse natin ay wala sa origin? So, ganito siya. Madadagdagan lang ulit ng h at k. So, that will be quantity x minus h squared over a squared plus quantity y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. So, kagaya din nung nasa itaas natin na equations, pwedeng magkapalit ang ating A at B. So, dun sa unang nabanggit, ang major axis natin ay horizontal. That's why yung A ay nasa ilalim ng x. So the last standard equation, that is quantity x minus h squared over b squared plus quantity y minus k squared over a squared equals 1. So as we can see, the vertical or the major axis is vertical. That's why yung a ay nasa ilalim ng ating y. So let's have our example number 1. So look at this figure. So the standard equation is x squared over 16 plus y squared over 9 equals 1. So as we can see, a here is 4. Alright? So from the center going to one of the vertices, that is 4 in distance. Then b is 3. From the center going to one of the co-vertices, that is 3 in distance. So paano natin makikita or ano kaya ang itsura ng ellipse kapag nagkabaliktad yung nasa ilalim niya? So ganito naman. Ang equation natin ay x squared over 9 plus y squared over 16 equals 1. So mapapansin natin na ang major axis ay vertical na or nasa ilalim ng y. So yung 4 kanina na nakahiga, nakatayo na siya ngayon or vertically. So from the center, 4 distance or 4 units papunta sa one of the endpoints of our vertices. Then from the center, going to one of the endpoints of the co-vertices, that is 3 units. Another figure, if the center is not at the origin. So as we can see, the center is at 5, negative 1. Then, ang major axis natin ay horizontal dahil nasa ilalim siya ng x. So in another figure, or in the last figure, nagkabaliktad ulit ang A at B. So ganito naman yung magiging graph niya. So same center, but nagkabaliktad yung A and B natin. Yung 16, nandun naman siya sa ilalim ng Y. Therefore, dahil mas malaki yung 16 sa 9, ang major axis natin ay vertical. Alright, let's have problem number 1. Calculate and plot the coordinates of the foci and vertices of y squared over 9 plus or x squared over 9 plus y squared over 25 equals 1. So let's have the solution. A squared is equal to 25. So let's simplify it. A is equal to square root of 25. A is equal to positive or negative 5. So that will be our major axis. So nasa y, dapat vertical ang ating ellipse. So the vertices will be 0, 5 and 0, negative 5. Dahil vertical ang ating major axis, yung ordinate natin o yung y-coordinate natin yung nagkaroon ng 5 at negative 5. Next, to find the value of b, we have b squared equals 9. So b is equal to square root of 9 and b is positive negative 3. Now for our co-vertices, we have 3, 0 and negative 3, 0. Then to find the foci, we're going to use the formula c squared equals a squared minus b squared. So just substitute the values of a and b. So we have c squared equals 25 minus 9. Then we have c equals square root of the quantity 25 minus 9. C is equal to square root of 16 and c is equal to positive negative 4. The vertices of or the coordinates of our foci are 0, 4 and 0, negative 4. So let us look at this graph. The center is at the origin. The major axis is vertical because 25 is greater than 9. That's why our ellipse has a vertical major axis. So from the center going to the vertices, that is 0, 5 and pababa, that is 0, negative 5. Then for our co-vertices, that is 3, 0 and negative 3, 0. For the foci, that is 0, 4 and 0, negative 4. For example number 2, Determine the equation of the ellipse that is centered at 0, 0, or the origin, passes through the point 2, 1, and whose minor axis is 4. So for our solution, let us remember that the length of our minor axis is 2b. Then 2b is equal to 4 because we are going to find the half of our minor axis for us to be able to find the value of b. So b is equal to 2. Now, this is our original standard equation, that is x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1. Then we have the given point 2, 1. So, bakit ba natin kailangan itong mga ito? Because we are going to find the value of a. Alright? Because if we have the value of a and the value of b, we are going to have our standard equation of the ellipse. So let us find the value of a. By substitution, this is x, 2. This is y, 1. Then we have the value of b, that is 2. So by substitution, we have 2 squared over a squared plus 1 squared over 2 squared equals 1. So just simplify. We have 4 over a squared plus 1/4 equals 1. Then we have 4 over a squared equals 1 minus 1/4. So inilipat lang natin yung 1/4 dun sa other side. Then 1 minus 1/4 is 3/4. So by cross multiplication, we have 3a squared equals 16. Then divide both sides by 3 to isolate a squared. So we have 16 over 3 dun sa kanan. Then i-square root natin both sides to eliminate the square dun sa ating a. So we have a equals square root of 16 over 3. And a is equal to 4 over square root of 3. So may value na tayo ng ating a. What is next? I-substitute na natin yun doon sa ating original na standard equation, that is x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1. So a is 4 over square root of 3. Then squared. B is 2. So simplify lang natin siya. 4 over square root of 3 squared, that will be 16 over 3. Then 2 squared is equal to 4. Then we cannot have denominators in the denominator. So what are we going to do? We get the reciprocal of the denominator and multiply it to the numerator. That is why we will have 3x squared over 16 plus y squared over 4 equals 1. This is our standard equation. Example number 3. Find the vertices and the foci of quantity x plus 3 squared over 4 plus quantity y minus 5 squared over 25 equals 1, and sketch the graph. For our solution, the center is found at -3, +5. That is our center. Then we're going to find the value of a because we're going to determine what will be the distance from center going to one of the vertices of our major axis. By the way, the major axis is vertical because 25 is greater than 4 and 25 is under y. That's why we have vertical major axis. So a will be positive, -5. So these are our vertices. So from the center, mababago lang yung ating y coordinate because our major axis is vertical. So yung y coordinate yung mababago. That will be added and subtracted by 5. That is 3, 5 plus 5 and -3, 5 minus 5. So our vertices are -310 and -3, 0. For our b, we have b squared equals 4. So we will have b is equal to positive -2. So ano ngayon ang mababago doon sa center natin? Of course, our x coordinate or the abscissa. That will be added and subtracted by 2. So the co-vertices will be -3 plus 2, 5 and negative 3 minus 2, comma 5. So we have the coordinates of the co-vertices of negative 1, 5, and negative 5, positive 5. Now, for our foci, we are going to use again the formula c squared equals a squared minus b squared. So just substitute the values. A squared is 25 and b squared is 4. So this is the value of our c. Positive, negative square root of 21 because we cannot simplify it more than that. So the foci will be, so kung nasaan ang ating major axis, ganon yung sa foci natin. So doon tayo magdadagdag at magbabawas kung nasaan ang major axis natin. So since vertical nga, magdadagdag at magbabawas tayo doon sa y coordinate ng ating center. So our foci are negative 3, 5 plus the square root of 21 and negative 3, 5 minus the square root of 21. So this will be our graph. This is our center, 3 positive 5. Then going to one of the vertices, this is 310 or negative 310. And this is one of the vertices also, negative 30. This is one of the co-vertices, negative 1, 5. And the last co-vertices natin is negative 5, positive 5. Now, for the foci, so here it is. That is negative 3, 5 plus square root of 21. Then negative 3, 5 minus the square root of 21. So, if you want to know the exact point, pwede nating i-decimal yung coordinates natin. Then, we can plot it easily kapag naka-decimal siya. For our last example, write the equation of an ellipse 9x squared plus 16y squared minus 126x plus 64y equals 71 from general to standard form. So, kagaya ng mga naunang standard equations natin or conic sections natin, nagtatransform tayo ng equations. So, paano naman ang pagtatransform ng general to standard form ng ellipse? So, sulat muna natin yung given. That is 9x squared plus 16y squared minus 126x plus 64y equals 71. So, what is the first step that we're going to do? Arrange or regroup natin siya. So, pag samasamahin natin yung mga terms na may x and may y, then yung mga constant term, ililipat natin sa kabila. So, since nasa kabila na talaga yung 71, so retain na lang siya dito sa ating arrangement. Next, magko-completing the square na tayo. This is first group, the group of x, 9x squared minus 121x plus blank plus 16y squared plus 64y plus blank equals 71. So, in this case, 9 is A, negative 126 is B. So, we are going to find the value of C. But, before we proceed to the computation of C, A must be equal to 1. So, since A is equal to 1, what are we going to do? So, we're going to get the GCF. Okay? Because 9 and 126 are both divisible by 9, so we can make or we can put out 9 as our GCF. So that will be 9 times x squared, that is 9x squared, and 9 times 14 is 126. Likewise, in our second term. So they are both divisible by 16. So 16 times 1 is 16, 16 times 4 is 64. So mababago naman yung pagdadagdag natin sa kabila. 'Di ba? In our last computations dun sa circle at sa parabola, kung ano lang yung dinadagdag natin dun sa mga blank, yun lang yung dinadagdag natin sa right side. But in this case, ganun din, idadagdag natin kung ano yung nasa blanco, but we are going to multiply kung ano yung inilabas natin na constant or coefficient. So, in this case, 71 plus the product of 9 and the C, kung ano yung makukuha natin dito, plus the product of 16 and kung ano yung makukuha natin dito. Okay, let's proceed. So since A is 1, we can now find the value of C. So that is 49 because negative 14 divided by 2 is 7. Then square it, we have 49. In the other term, 4 divided by 2 is 2. Then square it, that is 4. So ito yung binabanggit ko kanina. Kung ano yung dinagdag natin dun sa kaliwa, idadagdag din natin sa kanan. But we're going to multiply kung ano yung inilabas natin kanina. So sa first term, inilabas natin ang 9. Then yung C natin is 49. So we have 9 times 49. Then, sa second term natin, inilabas natin yung 16. Then, ang nakuha nating value ng C is 4. So, we have 16 times 4. Okay, then simplify. So, we have this, yung right side lang yung nabago. 9 times 49 is 441. And 16 times 4 is 64. Then, so, ginawa ng factor form yung mga perfect square trinomials natin. Kagaya na lang ng quantity x minus 7 squared. So, pag in-expand natin yan, ang lalabas ay yung nasa itaas. Okay? So, we have 9 times quantity x minus 7 squared plus 16 times quantity y plus 2 squared equals 576. Ito yung total ng tatlong terms na nandito sa kanan natin. Then, kung mapapansin natin, yung nasa standard equation, ang nasa right side niya is always 1. So, how are we going to make this 1? By dividing all terms by 576. Okay, to make it 1. So, kung ano yung number dito, i-divide natin siya by itself and also, idadamay natin lahat ng terms sa whole equation natin. So, we have now quantity 9 times quantity x minus 7 squared over 576 plus 16 times quantity y plus 2 squared over 576 equals 576 over 576. Then, simplify lang natin siya. 9 and 576 are both divisible by 9. So, yung 9 naging 1 na lang. And 576 divided by 9 is 64. Then, 16 and 576 are also divisible by 16. So, yung 16 naging 1 na lang. Then, 576 divided by 16 is 36. Then, 576 divided by 576 is equal to 1. So, here is our standard equation. Quantity x minus 7 squared over 64 plus quantity y plus 2 squared over 36 equals 1.